Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Foreign Currencies with Scott. So today is Sunday, February 15th. So we have had a total of 7 possible trading days since our last video. A Thursday and Friday following a Wednesday night video, and then an entire week. So during those 7 potential trading days, we actually had 3 trades. Now, the first of these went as a loser, but then the next 2 were both winners. And the final one got caught in a single candle that was about 78 pips wide. So the broker was not able to close out at our take profit. So we ended up making a little more profit than we had initially uh, expected. Now, this is a good thing, of course. Instead of $72, we made over $100 on that one trade. But like anything else, it's important to keep in mind this can also go the other way at times. Suppose we had a very large candle during a time period when we were going to be stopped out and it went in the direction of our stop loss. So sometimes it's going so fast in that direction that the broker cannot get us out at our stop loss price. And we end up losing more money than we'd planned on losing. We don't plan on losing, of course, but when we have a loser, we plan on it being $48, which is what it will be most of the time. Now, this winner that we had in our third trade was over $100, and it was effectively closed at 40% more than our take profit. So if we think about that in the other direction, if it had been a loss going 40% over would probably be about a $70 loss instead of a $48 loss. Now, I expect us to encounter candles like this probably 2, maybe 3 times in an entire year. Since we started on July 1st, this is the first one we've encountered, and it went our way, so we'll take it. Okay, so with that in mind, we have the new full week up ahead of us. I know that tomorrow is President's Day, but it will still be a trading day for the currency markets. So go ahead and set up your entry points for Sunday evening. That would be the Friday New York close. And then the market will open on Sunday afternoon, and then it will open specifically in London at 3 a.m. Eastern Time at midnight Pacific. And we'll see if we ventured more than 30 pips away from that New York close price on Friday. And if we have, and if the conditions are right, then we'll enter a new trade. So again, in the past 7 potential trading days, we had 3 trades, 2 of them winners, one of them a loser. Okay, let's catch up again on Wednesday and see how you're doing to start the week. Perhaps we'll have a look at that time at our overall win-loss record for the year since July 1 when we started the challenge. Okay, until then, good trading, everyone. All right, we're going to take a look at Friday, February 6th. Now, this trade was entered after the pair moved 30 pips away in the upward direction. So we were looking for it to go back down to the New York close. So you can see that after the New York close, the pair moved lower and then turned around and went higher. And by just about midnight, it crossed over the 30 pips away. Now we're just going to zoom out so that we can see where we were at 3 a.m. So at 3 a.m. here, you can see that we were above 30 pips away. And then I'm just going to highlight, see if I can get the right one here. I'm going to highlight 3 a.m. And you can see that even at the close of 3 a.m., we were above the 30 pips away. And we did have a candle that moved back towards the New York close. So we closed at 62.4 and you can see that 60.5 was 30 pips away. So we were still above that. So we would have wanted to enter at the beginning of the 3:05 a.m. period. And let's just grab that. And we did get in there. Now, as you can see, and especially if you're looking to the right, you can see even more clearly, but as you can see, we went sideways a bit, and then just one candle dipped below the 30 pips above, giving us some hope that we would go back towards the New York close, but instead the pair just moved on higher and really never looked back. So that was a clear loss for the day on Friday, February 6th. All right, so we had a trade on Tuesday, February 10th. You can see the vertical bar on the left-hand side represents the New York close on Monday, February 9th. And you see that the pair generally moved lower as the night went on. At 3 a.m., you can see if we stretch this out here that it just quite couldn't touch the 30 pips below line. And so we had to wait there. But then between 5 and 6 a.m., you can see that it did breach the 30 pips below. And what it did here was it breached 30 pips below at the 520 candle. And then in the very next period at 525, you can see, even though it's a very small candle, it did go in the direction we wanted and closed outside the 30 pip range. So that meant that in the following period, we were good to open a trade. So we did open a trade during the 5:30 period, and of course we were looking to go back to the New York close, which meant up. And you can see that as the morning progressed, it made a little move up and then back towards where we entered, but then ultimately moved back to the New York close up here. And you can see that it touched here. The candle before that may not have been enough, but certainly then by this time we were closed out for a win. So Tuesday, February 10th was a win. Okay, and we had a trade on Wednesday, February 11th. You can see the vertical line at the left-hand side of the chart. That represents the New York close on Tuesday, February 10th. Now you can see as the evening progressed, the pair moved higher. And let's see where it was at 3 a.m. So close in here on 3 a.m. Now remember, we want to be above or outside the 30 pip limit, but headed back down towards the New York close. So we didn't quite have that type of opportunity here at the London Open. So we just decided to give it some time, probably went back to sleep and got back up around what, 6:30 or so. And at 6:30, what you can see here is you can see a rather good move back towards the New York close, and that's after a peak was reached for the pair. So in other words, if we look to the left here, we can see that it was still moving higher. It crossed the 30 pip boundary at about 3 a.m. when London opens, but then the pair kept moving higher. And then it finally did reach a peak here just before 6 a.m. So at 6:30, when we got back up and took a look, we liked that 6:30 period, and it was headed back towards the New York close. So we did enter during the 6:35 period. Now, something important to look at here is when it has already reached a peak and we're moving away from it, we want to make sure that peak is less than 20 pips away, because we don't want our stop loss to be within where it's already been today. We want it to be a little bit harder to reach than that. And so sure enough here, the open was 136.96.3. So we would be looking at 16. So we want our stop loss would have been 16. So the highest point for the night was right there at 12. So that's a little bit close, but 16 is still above that. So we decided to take it. And sure enough, the pair did continue to move back down. And then you can see there was this violent candle here at 8:30. In fact, the difference between high and low in this 5-minute candle is almost 74 pips. So this trade could have gone either way considering how long this candle is. In this case, fortunately, it went in our direction. But such a large move in such a short period of time also makes it difficult for the broker to get out exactly where we want them to get out. Now, sometimes that can work in our favor, and sometimes it can work against us. So we got in at 96. We were looking we got in at 96 and we were looking to get out at 66, our 30 pips. So let's just draw a new line here and take a quick look at this so that you can follow along. So we got in at 96 and we wanted to go down. There's 96. Now we're looking to go down to 66. So you can see we didn't get close to that before the 8:30 a.m. candle. We got down to 76, 75, but that was only 20 pips. We needed another 10. So our trade got closed out during this massively large move at 8:30. So 66 is way back up here. So you can see where this new line we've drawn is. It's about a third of the way down this candle. And the broker did not, it knew that we wanted to get out here, but it wasn't able to fulfill it because the market was moving so quickly. So it got us out at 50. So all the way down here, it got us out. Now you can see this is just a little bit more than halfway, not quite 2/3 of the way for the total move of the candle during the period. But that did mean instead of $72, we got out with over 100. So we will take it, but it is important to keep in mind this can happen in the opposite direction when we're looking for a stop loss and it simply is moving so fast that it can't get us out quick enough. So that is why we typically have short investment periods and these very small defined amounts, 20 pips to lose and 30 pips to win. So it would be an extremely rare case to have it even double. I think we got out getting about 40% more. So that means on a loss, if it were such a large move, we could lose 40% more than we move. But I would say in our entire year, this may happen twice, maybe 3 times in the entire year. So far in our first 7 months here, this is the first time it's happened that the broker could not meet our exit price. All right, so we got out with a good win there, got a little extra bank, and that was the trade for Wednesday, February 11th.